Hello, 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 and welcome to Useful Idiots Monday Morning, where we watch the Sunday morning Sunday morning news shows, so that you do not have to. Now, we have a very special co-host for today. Now, some of you may remember that I had suggested that perhaps Rand Paul would make a good co-host. And some of you got offended because you thought that he's not very good on domestic issues. And even on foreign policy, he's not that reliable. So I was going to get Rand Paul, but then I realized that I wanted to listen to the Useful Idiots community. And I told Rand, it's okay. We don't need you. We have another guest co-host, because Aaron is traveling right now. And so I'm going to bring on the much better than Rand Paul. And sorry, Rand, I have to apologize again for canceling on you so last minute. Not Rand Paul, but Rania Khalek.
Surprise!
Surprise.
You know what?
What?
I am so honored that that Rand Paul got bumped for me.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome.
You should put that in your bio.
I'm absolutely putting that in my bio.
Yes.
Rand Paul
Bumper.
canceled. Yeah, Rand Paul bumper
yeah.
replacer.
Yeah, Rand Paul replacer. Yeah. Rania Khalek replacement, the great replacement theory with Rania Khalek and Rand Paul. So Rania, as people know probably, and if they don't, you are really in for a treat, is a wonderful journalist. She's with Breakthrough News, and she's based in Beirut. So before we start with the clips, I just want to get an update from someone who is much closer to what is happening right now. In fact, not just much closer. I mean, you're much closer to Iran, but you are closer, living in the midst of Israeli attacks and Israeli aggression and U.S.-backed Israeli aggression. So tell us what it's like where you are.
Well, I mean, nothing's really changed here other than everyone's just kind of a little bit disoriented. Sometimes we see Iranian missiles flying over the air to go hit Israel. And people are just kind of a little bit disoriented because there's like war happening in the region that's affecting everyone. But it's not happening here.
Right.
I mean, there's still an ongoing war in Lebanon since the ceasefire in November, but it's like lower level, and Israel just kind of bombs when it wants to. Of course, everyone's waiting in anticipation to see if it does spill over into Lebanon and other parts of the region. That stands to be seen. Hezbollah is saying they're not going to get involved, so we'll see about that. Otherwise, people's flights are taking a hit because airlines are just, very risk averse, so they're canceling lots of flights, and it's ruining everyone's summer plans. As is typically the case, if Israel's not destroying your home, they're ruining your vacation. That's pretty much how it goes here.
That could be like the slogan of Israel.
Yeah.
New national anthem.
Bulldozing homes and bulldozing vacations, one person at a time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to start, as always, with Meet the Depressed. So let's take a listen and a look at what happened on Meet the Press this week.
Good Sunday morning. In one of the most consequential decisions of his presidency, President Trump ordered U.S. strikes on 3 nuclear sites inside Iran. American B-2 stealth bombers carrying powerful 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs targeted Iran's major uranium enrichment sites buried deep underground.
Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran.
Okay, so a couple things. One is, I don't know where he gets this #1 state sponsor of terror. I think he's being modest, because I think we all know that the prize for that would go to maybe a tie between the U.S. and Israel. Because of the way that the U.S. gets a lot of credit for Israel's terrorism, because we are the state sponsor of that terrorism. What do you think, Rania, as someone who's in the region?
Yeah, I think he should give himself more credit.
Exactly.
I also think it's just completely insane that a nuclear-armed country like the U.S. joined with a nuclear-armed country like Israel that's currently committing genocide in Gaza to bomb a country that has no nuclear weapons, and tried to claim that actually they're the ones saving the world, when it's just an expansion of atrocities because of like the bloodlust of American empire followed by its little baby.
Yeah. Yep. I think that, it's it's really like we were saying, he's being modest. He should humble brag about the terrorism coming from here. And it's just a talking point. For those of us who are old enough to remember the Iraq War, there's a lot of rinse and repeat that we're seeing right now. There's the axis of evil. You're either with us or against us. So these slogans are used to kind of cover up the reality that we are engaging in terrorism. Yeah.
Katie, if you look really closely at Donald Trump here, is that like a mask? Like maybe if you pulled it off, there'd be like a little George W. Bush underneath.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Either that or Netanyahu, one of the two of them.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a plot twist.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of plot twist, kind of the most obvious person.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
But I saw people calling him Donald W. Bush, which I thought was kind of like,
yeah,
good.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
If only we could get Trump to come up with a nickname for Trump, because he really is the best at nicknames.
He is, yeah.
Key nuclear enrichment facility.
Sorry, let me just rewind this a little bit.
Nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key.
Look at, by the way, Vance's face. He's kind of like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right?
He looks confused.
Yeah.
Nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Okay, there's no way he knows that when he says their nuclear facilities have been totally obliterated. He doesn't know that.
Completely and totally.
Oh, completely and totally, yeah. Yeah, he has no idea the extent to which they exist and where.
He just knows they dropped like the most powerful bombs in America or any in the world. I mean, those 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs, I think it's like, aside from like a nuclear weapon, is one of the most powerful bombs in the world. So I guess his assumption is that I think they dropped like, first they said 3, then they said 6, then it was like 9 of them on Fordo.
Right.
So I guess if you've dropped that many, you're going to assume that it's been completely and totally spectacularly obliterated.
Right.
Cartoon characters.
Such cartoon characters. And by the way, look, you still have Vance. He has not put on a good game face yet. He's still like, what are you doing? What are you talking about?
He's like, oh man, this is going to be used like years later to show that I was a part of this. Okay.
Yeah. To show that I was lying about being anti-war.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Marco Rubio just looks dead as he always does.
Yeah. They forgot to recharge him that night.
Exactly.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
After campaigning on a policy of America.
They tried to make peace, by the way. It was Trump, not Iran, that ripped up the nuclear deal.
Yeah. And then also it was, Iran has been probably to its own detriment, not probably, to its own detriment, very committed to diplomatically resolving everything.
Right.
Which kind of got it into the place it is now. I mean, people are asking why didn't Iran just get a nuke? If they had a nuke, maybe this wouldn't be happening. But because, they don't have nuclear weapons. They have a peaceful nuclear program. And they've been trying so hard to return to that Iran nuclear deal. It's the U.S. that ripped it up and then repeatedly, attacked Iran over and over and over. Until bombing its nuclear facilities, and also completely lied to the Iranians over the last several months, dispatching Steve Witkoff, just like they did with Gaza.
Exactly.
Dispatching Steve Witkoff to go sit for negotiations while all of this insanity was being planned.
So disgusting. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Also, it's like, he wants them to have peace. Like, it's kind of like if I punch someone in the head and then say, if you want to be peaceful, don't do anything.
No, it's completely insane. This is literally like if you're in an abusive relationship, and somebody is like beating you up and telling you it's because they love you. Yeah. Like, it's just, it's like completely like sociopathic, narcissistic, all the different mental illnesses that make somebody the most toxic person on earth wrapped into like a nuclear armed superpower.
Right.
It's a huge gaslight. Peace through strength. Like what? Like life through death.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, what is that? It's like they say fighting for peace or going to war for peace is like screwing for virginity.
Yeah, there you go. Any oxymoron you can come up with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Going back.
First, and arguing against foreign conflicts, the U.S. has now joined Israel's war with Iran, with President Trump warning Iran that more strikes could be next.
Sorry, let me rewind this a little bit.
Must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
After campaigning on a policy of America first and arguing against foreign conflicts, the U.S. has now joined Israel's war with Iran, with President Trump warning Iran that more strikes could be next.
There will be either.
By the way, it's not even that they joined it recently. Like everything that Israel does is an American war because we are funding it and arming it.
Well, it's also coordinated with the U.S. Right. They talk like every single day. It should be seen as a U.S. war. And, you know, we can come back to this, but like everybody keeps saying this is against American interests and it's for Israel, which is true. Like Israel wants this probably more than these people do. But I would argue that destroying Iran is completely in the interest of American empire. Like these people, Iran is weaker than it was 2 years ago right now because of genocide in Gaza. Right. Israel's been committing genocide in Gaza. It destroyed a lot of parts of Lebanon. And as a result, Iran's partners are weaker. Therefore, Iran is weaker. And so they're going in for the kill right now. That's what they're trying to do.
Right. Yeah. They're
using the nuclear stuff as like a smokescreen because it's both. Right. Yes.
Yeah. In fact, last week, CNN accidentally outed Israel as having nuclear weapons because, you know, that's like the dirty secret. That's the open dirty secret is that Israel has nuclear weapons.
Not just Katie, not just that they have a nuclear weapon. They have a military doctrine to use nukes against non-nuclear threats. It's the Samson option.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So disgusting. It's really scary.
It is.
Yeah. So
everything they're saying about Iran being dangerous with nukes is actually true about Israel.
Yeah, it's projection. It's the what is it? Accusation in the mirror, as it's called.
Every accusation is a confession.
Exactly.
Or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not...
Oh, that's so nice. Even, you know what that makes me think? Like, even though Kamala Harris lost the election, she still gets to see that her plans for lethal military actions are happening.
Yeah, that probably helps her sleep at night, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanking President Trump for his decisive action.
President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength.
Overnight, many Republicans praised President Trump's decision, but Democrats and some Republicans said the president had acted without congressional approval, raising concerns. The question now, what happens next? Could this be the beginning of a longer and more dangerous war in the Mideast?
Yes.
And of immediate concern, when and how will Iran retaliate? With 40,000 American troops stationed in the Mideast, the Pentagon is on high alert. Iran's foreign minister responding this morning, saying the U.S. and Israel have blown up the chance for diplomacy. In an exclusive interview with NBC News before the strikes, he warned Iran would respond to a U.S. attack.
Would Iran retaliate against U.S. targets and U.S. forces in the region or elsewhere?
Well, when there is a war, both sides attack each other. That's quite understandable. And self-defense is a legitimate right of every country.
Doesn't he sound like so irrational and bloodthirsty?
I gotta say, it's so funny the way that they portray Iran as being this like irrational actor, because listen to any Iranian spokesperson and they just make complete sense.
Exactly.
Like, and the most tame voice, by
Trump
the way.
And Netanyahu, right? Totally.
Like it's like he has to explain to a child how war works. She's literally like, hey, if somebody like rapes you, are you gonna like defend yourself?
Right.
Because that's crazy. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, when someone rapes, you hit. Like, it's like, do I have to explain that to you, Andrea Mitchell? Apparently I do.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to this crazy, bloodthirsty, irrational madman.
The U.S. joined Israel in these attacks. We will do the same. We actually retaliate as a form of self-defense.
And joining me now is Vice President.
All right, don't worry, we'll get to Vance. But before we move to Vance, a couple of things, let's see, that we should make sure that we mention before moving on. First of all, Rania, you said it's in the interest of the American empire, which it is. But of course, that means it's against the interests of the world and all people living in it and all living things and creatures and vegetation. I mean, because who knows what's going to happen. And in terms of getting congressional approval, it's true. So he is supposed to get it because there's no imminent risk being posed by Iran in any way, shape, or form. But it's also worth pointing out that no war has been approved by Congress since World War II. And for the last couple of decades, at least, these actions are being carried out like more and more by presidents without congressional approval. And obviously, we know that that applies to like Bush, but also Biden in 2021, under the same authorization of Article 2, undertook airstrikes, and I'm going to quote Biden here, directed against sites used by the Iranian-backed militia group responsible for recent attacks on U.S. personnel in Iraq, end quote, during nuclear negotiations with the country. So, yeah.
Well, I also think that, I mean, I don't know. I'm so tired, Katie. I'm tired of war. Like, I'm just so tired. And I feel like that's just, the world probably feels that way right now. It's like you forced us to watch 20 months of genocide. I've been in the region, so it's been like really stressful. And then Lebanon was really stressful. And they're bombing Lebanon. They're bombing Yemen. They're bombing Syria. They're bombing everywhere. They're just destroying everything with like a wrecking ball. And then just to see that there's like almost no opposition to it has been crazy. Like I saw a lot of Democrats this weekend after Trump bombed the nuclear sites came out and condemned it. But in the lead up to that, there was nothing.
Yeah,
I think I saw
one little sad attempt.
Yeah, I saw one little sad attempt by like Tim Kaine.
Yes, Tim Kaine was good and Ro Khanna was good. Yeah. And Bernie
to like
too.
to do like the War Powers Act, but it was literally like a handful of people.
Yeah.
And then the Europeans are just like blaming Iran when this was like completely just pure naked aggression by the Israelis unprovoked. And I'm just like, we live in a barbaric world run by barbarians who call themselves civilized.
Yeah, exactly. And Hakeem Jeffries said something disgusting about how, Sinwar has been killed. And next is we have to bring Iran to its knees.
It's disgusting. And when
Sinwar is gone, he goes, Sinwar is gone, and Hamas is on the run, and Iran is at one of its weakest points in decades. We can't take our foot off the gas pedal until Iran is brought to its knees for the good of the world. So thanks, Hakeem Jeffries, for being such a strong source of resistance.
It's so offensive too, Katie, because when they say things like that, when they say Hamas is on the run, you're talking about because of a genocide. There's a genocide where people are being intentionally starved right now. And turn on the news and watch what's happening in Gaza. It's just like it's apocalyptic. People are constantly running, trying to get food and being intentionally shot at distribution sites. And it's just the worst thing ever. And so when they say these things like bring Iran to its knees, it's a country of 90 million people. Israel bombed a hospital today. They bombed an ambulance today.
Wait, Rania, Israel doesn't, you don't know this? Israel doesn't bomb hospitals?
Right. Israel only, but every hospital is a military base if it's like in Iran or anywhere in the Middle East. And then every Israeli military asset is actually a hospital.
Right.
So,
yeah, exactly. Okay. Let us now go to our next clip. And that is going to be, who do we have up right now? Our favorite, Marco Rubio.
Mr. Secretary, I know it has been an intense few hours, but so far it does not appear that Iran has yet retaliated against the United States. What intelligence do you have at this point about their capabilities to respond, the intent of their proxies? Is there any kind of command and control structure left to activate them?
Yeah, well, we'll see what Iran decides to do. I think they should choose the route of peace. We've done everything. We have bent over backwards, okay, to create a deal with these people. Steve Witkoff has traveled the world extensively, met with them. Well, not even met with them, met through the Omanis with them and discussed back and forth. We even put an offer to them that they wanted elements of it in writing, and we offered it to them. Very generous offer, by the way.
Oh my God, they offered to put something in writing. Wow, that's incredible. The generosity.
Yeah, it's so generous for your plantation owner to be like, you know, when he says peace, when they say Iran should make
choose
peace,
the route of peace. Choose the route of peace.
They mean Iran should surrender and be our slaves.
Yeah.
That's what peace to them means. Like all these words are like the opposite of what they're saying.
Yeah, and
no one in their right mind would make peace under those circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. And just a reminder, I mean, we've kind of gone over this, but like Iran was pursuing a peaceful uranium enrichment program, which was meant to deter. It had stuck with the non-proliferation treaty and agreed to the Iran nuclear deal that Trump ripped up. And they were engaging in negotiations that were ongoing when then Israel bombed Iran with the U.S.'s support. And they were meant to be actually on Sunday when that happened, they were supposed to be talks.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
No, the whole talks thing is a complete ruse.
Exactly.
This is brute force from a bunch of psychotic tyrants who want the world to bend the knee to them. Right. And anyone who doesn't bend the knee will be killed, and we will keep killing you until you bend the knee. Like that's the world we live in now. It's the world that the US and Israel have created.
Yeah, it's very peaceful.
It's very scary. Peaceful. Very scary.
We've done it, and we're prepared right now. If they call right now and say, we want to meet, let's talk about this, we're prepared to do that. The president's made that clear from the very beginning. His preference is to deal with this issue diplomatically. But he also told them we had 60 days to make.
I think the evidence exists to the contrary, that his preference was to deal with it diplomatically.
Professional liars.
Yeah.
Progress or something else was going to happen. And I think they thought they were dealing with a different kind of leader, like the kinds of leaders they've been playing games with for the last 30 or 40 years. And they found out that's not the case. So this mission was a very precise mission. It had 3 objectives, 3 nuclear sites. It was not an attack on Iran. It was not an attack on the Iranian people. This wasn't a regime change move. This was designed to degrade and or destroy 3 nuclear sites.
These are like, this guy's a lie. Like everything he's saying is a lie. Oh, I love that image I stopped on. What a douchebag. Yeah. Everything he said, every word coming out of his mouth is a lie. And you know what I'll add about how brave this man Marco Rubio is? He's so brave that when he's not busy justifying the dropping of 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs on peaceful nuclear facilities, he's kidnapping college students for protesting genocide, for saying things he doesn't like and calling them national security risks.
Oh yeah.
Very brave man. But look at those ears.
I know.
Only a man who looks like that and kidnaps students, kidnaps 19-year-olds. Only someone like that is you know, just the bravest, freedom-loving MAGA man you could ever see. Look at him.
Yeah.
Look at him, Katie.
And I agree. And he looks like he has no soul there. But also I want to express my condolences because, as people may know, condolences to Rubio. Mahmoud Khalil was released on bail. I mean, he should be totally free, but
is Marco Rubio? Have we called and checked in on Marco Rubio?
I know.
That's really scary.
Maybe that's why they bombed Iran. Maybe they knew that was happening, and they were like, "I'm so sad and down. I need something to cheer me up."
Yeah. Well, Mahmoud Khalil's on the loose now. He might protest for human rights. So
then hopefully
I hope everyone's okay. I hope Marco Rubio's okay.
Yeah. Well, obviously, if he starts doing that, you got to deport. By the way, how are we doing on likes? Let's see how we're doing on likes. We got, we don't even have half, guys. We need, by the end of this clip, you better bring that number up there. We got over 2,000 people watching, and we have 683 likes. And I know that not over half, more than half of you are hate watching. And you guys, this is really embarrassing. We have a special guest all the way in from Beirut. You need to get those likes up there. I want to see 1,000 by the end of this clip, or else you're going to face the consequences.
Related to their nuclear weaponization ambitions, and that was delivered on yesterday. What happens next will now depend on what Iran chooses to do next. If they choose the path of diplomacy, we're ready. We can do a deal that's good for them, the Iranian people, and good for the world. Yeah. If they choose another route, then there'll be consequences for that.
Okay, so they already chose the path of diplomacy, and while they were engaged in that, you bombed them. Israel bombed them with your support, and then you bombed them directly. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't think you. I'm not sure if he thinks that anyone is listening to him or paying attention to him. But he does hit all the talking points. I just want to point out the talking points. One of which has already been debunked, and we're going to show a Truth Social post that shows that. So he says it's not regime change. They're saying that. He says that, we're not at war with Iran, but with their nuclear program. And what else what are the other hits?
It's not
regime change, non-attack on Iran, side of peace if they choose peace, as in do nothing about belligerent attacks on them, and there will be consequences. Okay, so let us now go to a very interesting post from Donald Trump on Truth Social, which kind of undermines the fact that this is not regime change. Whoops, let's take a look. It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MEGA, which is make Iran great again.
God help us.
I wonder if Rubio's like, why did you do that after I went on TV and said this isn't regime change?
He'll still lie. He'll still lie. These people, literally everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. I believe nothing they say. And it's just a continuation of the Biden administration, by the way. We're working tirelessly for a ceasefire when nothing of the sort was ever happening. These people are liars. Like every time when I heard Trump, you know what? I knew Trump was going to bomb this weekend for a few reasons. One was because people with good sources thought he was going to bomb this weekend, but also he said that he was going to give it 2 weeks. I was like, that's a ruse. Right. That means he's going to bomb this weekend. Like you assume they mean the opposite of almost everything they say.
Exactly. Yeah. And Ronnie, I hope you're sitting down. Well, I know you are because I see you right now, but unfortunately, Mahmoud Khalil has already attended a protest.
Is Marco Rubio okay?
I know.
Has the world ended?
Yeah, for him.
I've heard that on like the hierarchy of things that are dangerous to the world. First, it's Iran getting a nuclear weapon. Second is Mahmoud Khalil attending a protest. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
That is really
very scary moment. Everybody, go to your shelters.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's skip to clip 4 just because we don't have time to go through all the clips. So let's go to 4, Wilson. And you're going to really enjoy this because we brought you Rubio, and now we're going to bring you another great person from the administration, and that would be none other than J.D. Vance, whose DJ name should be DJ Vance.
National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said in March that, quote, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon. Democratic Senator Mark Warner, the vice chair of the Intelligence Committee, said he was briefed on Monday that, quote, the intelligence hasn't changed. So why launch this strike now? Has the intelligence changed, Mr. Vice President?
Well, a couple of things about that, Kristen. So what Tulsi said back in March is that Iran was producing highly enriched uranium that was only consistent with them wanting to build a nuclear weapon. There's, of course, an open question about whether they were weeks away, whether they were months away, but they were way too close to a nuclear weapon for the comfort of the President of the United States, which is why
It doesn't really matter what the intelligence says. Weeks, months. What's the difference? Years, never. Same thing. It's about how Trump feels.
Right.
He took this action. Now, there's another element here, too, Kristen, which is that we had a narrow window of opportunity. We might not have been able to carry out this attack 6 months down the road. And so when you recognize, on the one hand, the Iranians are trying to get a nuclear weapon, and on the other hand, we have a narrow window in which we can set that program back a very long time, it would have been irresponsible, I think, for the president not to take the action that he did, which is why Fordo was destroyed last night.
And these people are going to nuke something, and as the nuke is making its way to destroy the world, they're going to be like, it would have been irresponsible not to.
Yeah, and they're going to also say, you can still choose peace.
Yeah, and also, by the way, what a disappointment to anyone who still thought that Tulsi Gabbard had meant anything she ever said, literally, ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, speaking of disappointments, it's worth noting that a lot of Republicans are saying good stuff, like MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, is saying good stuff, critical of war. But the only Republican who is on the right side of this issue, on the good side of this issue, has been Massey. All the other ones, and all the other ones. So he's the only Republican who signed on to the War Powers Resolution. Everyone else was a Democrat. And so, it's great to talk the talk, Marjorie, but you're full of it, just as full of it.
Thomas Massey, don't forget, Thomas Massey also exposed the fact that every Republican member of Congress has an AIPAC babysitter. Right.
I think it may have been every member, not just Republican.
He said Republicans, and I think he was asked about Democrats, and he was like, "I can't speak for that."
Oh, right. He just doesn't know. Right.
They do too. Like, it would make sense. Right. Also, I see in the comments people are losing their minds because they're saying, Katie, they're saying I shouldn't talk about these topics while wearing immodest clothing.
Yeah, can you go change into a full burqa, please?
Yeah,
and you'll be allowed to talk about them.
But I think it's like Zionist trolls saying that, which I don't know.
I think it's just corn dog guys.
Are they just mad that I'm like dressed like this in apparently Iran-controlled Lebanon? As they like to say?
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's probably true. Yeah, you're just
my Iranian handler is handing me a burqa. Hang on, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Unfortunately, it's transparent. But
very clear. Did the president say go based on U.S. intelligence or Israeli intelligence?
Well, of course, we share intelligence with a lot of agencies, British, Israeli, and so forth, but it was our intelligence that motivated us to act. And I think on the intelligence, Kristen, the thing that I would really emphasize is the way in which the Iranians seem to be stonewalling us. That was not, by the way, our consensus back in March of this year. We saw the Iranians making some concessions. We thought the conversations were actually productive. Yeah. By mid-May, everybody in our intelligence community and the president's senior team looked at ourselves and said, the Iranians are not being serious. They're no longer making concessions. They're no longer actually responding to some of the offers that we're making. If you believe, as we did, that the Iranians are rushing towards a nuclear weapons program while simultaneously refusing to negotiate, how could we do anything but take serious action against this program?
Do you and President Trump trust the U.S. intelligence community and its assessments?
Oh, of course we trust our intelligence community, but we also trust our instincts. And most importantly, we trust what the intelligence was telling us about the Iranians stonewalling the negotiation. I think that is.
I like that he trusts his instincts. And you know what? They don't trust the intelligence, because what did Trump say last week? He said about Tulsi's. I don't care what she said.
Insulting. It was something very insulting.
I don't care what she said.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
And apparently she was like, I don't know why she didn't resign. And instead she then tweeted an agreement with him. Like, these people have no principles. It kind of makes me think like, do you remember, I think everything's a psyop. That's just my default. So do you remember when, anti-war sentiment was at its kind of peak and like at the height of the Iraq war? And then you had the Democratic primary, and Obama sort of rose to prominence because he was saying the Iraq war was the stupid war. It was the bad war.
Right. Exactly.
And everyone's like, And like, he won for a lot of reasons, but part of that was because people were so against all of the war on terror wars. And then what did Obama do? His election essentially pacified the anti-war movement for a period of time.
Right.
And he expanded all the wars and started new ones. He literally started new ones.
Yeah.
And then you had this like tendency, I don't want to overstate it, but there is this like isolationist tendency that does exist on the right. And that started to kind of rise a bit. And then Trump,
at least in rhetoric.
Yeah. Well, Trump is like the Obama version of all this, right? He comes along. I'll never forget 2016, Katie, on that Republican primary debate stage when he just completely tore Jeb Bush in a new asshole. Over his brother's regime change war in Iraq. It was regime change wars this, regime change wars that. Same with Tulsi, only to then get into power and expand the wars.
Right.
All in the name of ending them. It's insane.
Well, Tulsi did release this like weird hostage video where she was basically like talking about nuclear war and Hiroshima. It was so weird, it was like a help video, but no, that's actually a really good point. And, now I realize that, I think Trump was just jealous that the Iraq war hadn't happened under him. So now he's trying to do it with Iran. I mean, he was obviously using anti-war rhetoric. But yeah,
there's that, and then there's the fact that like no matter what happens, no matter what any person says, they are imperialists, and U.S. empire is dedicated to perpetual war to dominate the entire world. And so as long as that system is in place, it doesn't matter who, whatever these liars, they're all a bunch of charlatans.
Yeah.
Who at the end of the day are going to expand wars in the name of ending them.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, guys, we're going to, there's so much news here, and we have such an informed co-host that we may go a little bit over. So you're welcome. If that's okay.
Sorry,
with you,
I talk too much, y'all.
No,
I'm just mad. I'm mad.
Yeah. Well, we have two women, usually Aaron's here. And so we have two women, two irrational women, emotional women. We can't discipline our voices. Yeah.
So
and you can't help but show off your assets.
Also, we're going to talk about makeup.
Yeah, exactly. That is true.
Is really the hidden story here, and something the media has got to report a little bit more here, is that the Iranians stopped negotiating in good faith. That was the real catalyst, I think, to what the
So you see, he can't say that they stopped negotiating, because it's clear that they were negotiating, and that the ones that stopped negotiating were Israel and the U.S. So that they have to change it to they stopped negotiating in good faith, which is the funniest thing ever, because who has been in worse faith than the U.S. and Israel?
Maybe Nazi Germany.
Maybe, yeah, it's up there. Yeah. Although, by the way, you mentioned these kill zones, basically these fake humanitarian sites that are luring them into kill zones, and it makes me think, like, the Nazis lied about gas chambers. They said that they were showers. This is basically, this is that level.
Oh my God, that's a really interesting and useful parallel, actually. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely disgusting.
Oh,
Except
that's so heavy.
Again, the Nazis tried to cover that up. And I'm sorry, like, a lot of people get offended by the comparisons. And yeah, it's not Apple. It's not like one-to-one comparison, but it's so ironic that Israel constantly weaponizes and exploits the Holocaust, makes comparisons between Hamas and the Nazis, Hamas and Hitler. Remember, Netanyahu tried to blame the Mufti for coming up with the final solution idea. Really, the
letting Hitler off the hook.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, that's called Holocaust denial, by the way, BB. So, but really, it's impossible to watch what's happening and not be reminded of some of the things that the Nazis did.
It's all super reminiscent. It's like even worse because like the Nazis weren't live streaming it.
Exactly.
The technology didn't exist at the time.
Right. And they wouldn't have live streamed it because they were hiding it.
Yeah.
Like, even if they had, existed. Even if we could make
Israel,
like a weird
celebrating it. The Israelis are celebrating it. They're like, we want people to see what we're doing.
Exactly. It's like the opposite of the banality of evil. It's like the gleeful celebration of evil. All right, what do we got next? Let's see. This is great. We got another friend of show, Lindsey Graham. Let's see what he has to say.
Praised the president's decision overnight, and I know you just got off of the phone with Prime Minister Netanyahu. What did he say to you about this moment?
Well, first, about the president's decision, I thought it was bold, quite frankly, brilliant militarily, necessary, and most importantly, effective. So well done, Mr. President, to your...
By the way, take note, you're going to hear the word bold a lot. That's one of the talking points. One of the talking points is no regime change, although we're going to see some violations of that talking point, but bold is a big one. Okay.
Your team and our military is a fantastic operation that has substantially degraded, I think, Iran's nuclear program.
Look, he's looking at his notes, by the way, you see?
So I talked to Bibi just a few minutes ago.
I talked to BB just a few minutes ago. I like that he calls him by his affectionate name. And whenever I've done that, by the way, it's sarcastic. It's not sincere. So he's bragging about his close relationship with BB. Way to like debunk the idea that we're Israel's bitch, by the way. Even though Israel, like, we're Israel's bitch, but Israel is our bitch. Like we've talked about this before, Rania. And what's his name? The one who I joked sounds like Chomsky, who was killed, the Hezbollah leader who was killed.
Nasrallah?
Yeah, Nasrallah. Yeah. He talked about, right, how it's not like Israel controlling the US.
Well, I also think it's unfair to say Israel controls the US because, like you said, like we shouldn't, the US shouldn't be modest.
Right,
It's
exactly.
like it almost like washes the US's hands of all its disgusting bloodlust.
Right. It's true. So gross.
And I said, what would you like me to say?
Okay,
Ago,
literally, he's bragging about talking to Bibi and says that he said to Bibi, "What would you like me to say?" I mean, you can't make this up. Like being the stenographer of Israel or being the puppet of Israel, like literally Bibi's like the puppet master. I mean, I know that has anti-Semitic tropes, but whatever. He happens to be
I
Jewish.
mean, would it be anti-Semitic if he was Christian in doing that?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
just because
No, yeah.
someone's Jews can do bad things too, guys.
Yeah, obviously, we know that. But yeah, I mean, he really is like, it's just crazy. What would you like me to say? Like, sir, what would you like me to say? And it's like he's the dummy on Netanyahu's lap. Okay.
But what would you like me to say? He said, tell the American people Israel is profoundly grateful for all we do for Israel and very grateful to President Trump for what he ordered last night. 2 messages.
Thanks for being literally the
Netanyahu,
spokesperson. Yeah, no.
Well, yeah, and also Netanyahu's so grateful to the American people, and he pays them back by destroying their constitutional right to free speech.
Yeah. Yep.
He wanted me to urge the Iranian people to end this madness. Take this regime down and have a better life for yourselves and be part of the region in a new and different way.
Wait a second. Did he just say out loud that they are trying to achieve regime change? That Netanyahu is calling for regime change.
This show should come with trigger warnings. I feel
know.
so
They're like
triggered
built
by
in.
all
You
of the
should just always
cursor
assume.
I'm so sorry that to the audience that you have to watch this with us.
Yeah. But it's incredible because Netanyahu was saying before that, you know, they're not calling for regime change, that could be the outcome of it. But now he's actually explicitly through his puppet, Lindsey Graham, saying, please do regime change, Iranians.
Yeah.
And he said that the other day, too, on a video that he did. Yeah.
And second, he wanted me to tell the American people, Israel's not going to live this way anymore. They're not going to live under threat from Iran anymore. Last night, they were attacked. The early morning hours of today, after the attack by President Trump, Israel fired ballistic missiles into Israel, wounding Israel.
Well, he meant Iran fired ballistic missiles into Israel. But, you know, it's just like, it's a war. You started a war. Like, it's amazing to me how these people are literally like, you know, anyone who's ever been in like a toxic relationship, whether it's like with a parent, with a partner, with a friend who's just like a horrible person. And then eventually you come to the realization that you're dealing with like a really horrible person. That horrible person will do the worst shit to you. And then while they're doing it to you, they will literally, like, if you respond, if you raise your voice, if you defend yourself, everything you do is considered an attack. That is what these people are doing. They bombed Iran out of nowhere, totally unprovoked. Hell yeah, Iran's gonna bomb back. Like, you bombed a country. That is what a war is. Like, what is this world? I guess because they've occupied Palestinians for so long, and Palestinians have to use like homemade rockets and knives to fight back. They're just like so shocked when they actually, you know, attack a country that they get hit back a little bit harder.
Exactly. They're picking on someone remotely their own size.
Yeah.
Israeli citizens, 24 have been killed. This regime, Israel, wounding Israelis. After the attack by President Trump, Israel fired
Israel's not going to live like this, he's saying,
ballistic missiles into Israel, wounding Israeli citizens. 24 have been killed. This regime is not going to be tolerated by Israel, is what he told me.
We thank you for watching.
Oh my God. Okay. So 24 people have been killed in Israel. How about the between 430 and 865 Iranians killed by Israel?
Well, their lives are worth significantly less. So you actually have to use the formula.
Exactly.
So technically the 24 Israelis equal
probably,
Basically what he's saying is
it's
not a fair. It's not a fair. Yeah. It's like basically not enough Iranians have died to equal those 24 Israelis.
Right. It's like dog years. Maybe you have to like multiply.
Yeah. Like X squared plus, you know.
Right. Exactly.
25.
And, you know, has he ever said anything about we don't even know the numbers right now. The probably hundreds of thousands of people in Gaza killed by Israel's U.S.-backed genocide.
They're all Hamas.
Right. Yeah.
Or were tragically killed by Hamas because
Right.
Hamas stands in front of babies
Mm.
and then begs Israel to shoot
Behind
them.
babies, yeah.
They stand behind babies and then, no, they start in front of the baby.
Oh, right.
Yes. To shoot them. And then as the Israelis pull the trigger and the bullet's on its way, they jump and dodge the bullet so it hits the baby.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's it. Yeah. Even though actually the people who have been documented using human shields are the Israelis. But yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Where are we now? Let's go back. Okay. We're done with Graham. And now we have, oh my God, if you've enjoyed Graham, you're going to love this next guy. And that would be former National Security Advisor, John Bolton.
Why do you think it is that President Trump did this now? Obviously, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has been pushing to do this for years, including when Trump was president the first time.
Right. Well, I think because of the launching of Iran's war against Israel on October the 7th in 2023, it was going to.
Oh, I didn't know this. Okay, so Rania, again, you're close to the region. So Iran launched that war on October 7th.
Iran probably sees that statement and just gets really mad because the Iranians didn't know about October 7th. No one knew. Hamas like made a decision and they took it themselves. And everybody was taken by surprise, including their friends.
Right.
But I've seen Zionists use that talking point. Because if you say that this was an unprovoked attack by Israel on Iran, they'll say, but Iran did October 7th. And I'm like, I thought, whatever. Basically, whoever you hate and want to attack is responsible for October 7th at this point. I mean, don't forget, at one point, Zionists were trying to claim the SJP at Columbia.
I was going to say exactly. I was like, I don't know if Iran knew the real culprits, the real
SJP
people
at Columbia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they knew.
Exactly.
They definitely knew.
Totally.
Yeah. There's literally a lawsuit about that.
Yeah, Zionist students who skunk sprayed pro-Palestine protesters sued the pro-Palestine protesters, saying they created an unsafe environment and actually had inside knowledge ahead of time of the October 7th attacks.
So ridiculous.
Just complete batshit insanity.
Come down to this at some point, enemy. This at some point anyway. This.
Okay, listen to this. This is so funny. He's so evil. Like, listen to this Freudian slip. Hold on.
In 2023, it was going to come down to this at some point, enemy. It
was going to come down to this at some point, enemy, instead of anyway. Just evil man.
At some point anyway. This is Iran's effort to go after the little Satan, and the next target was the big Satan.
I mean, props for speaking truth about what the U.S. and Israel are, little and big Satans. Yeah.
So Israel really faces an existential threat from a nuclear Iran, but Iran is not just Israel's problem. Iran is the world's problem. It's particularly the U.S. problem, and we have now acted against this nuclear proliferation threat. It's clearly the right thing to do, and if Netanyahu is going in first, help persuade the president, so much the better.
So you've obviously been in these rooms. You've seen.
So he just like sold out Trump as Bibi's cuck, which we all know that he is. Yeah.
How President Trump makes decisions. We heard late this past week that it was going to be a 2-week timeline. Do you think, considering the timing of this, that 2-week timeline was just a ruse?
Well, he said up to 2 weeks. And I thought that was a pretty clear giveaway. As I say, I would have done this a long time ago. We'll see what happens now. This is only day one, and I think how Iran responds to this, if they're foolish enough to attack American positions, American personnel in the Middle East or anywhere around the world, what happened overnight would just seem like the beginning.
So I just want to say, it's really important to understand that Iran, sorry guys, 1 second. It's really important to understand that the actual problem with Iran, the reason Iran poses a threat to the United States is not because they have a nuclear weapon. They don't. Maybe they should have, but they don't. It's because Iran sits on top of a huge amount of oil and doesn't give it away for free. And if you're an American ruling class imperialist, you want that oil for free. Exactly. And so you have to make sure that you can control the people who sit on top of it. And there was a time when America and the UK did control the people who sat on top of it. because they overthrew their democratically elected government in 1953 in Iran and replaced him with a dictator, the Shah, who was completely brutal and basically gave Iran's oil away for free. The 1979 Iranian Revolution wrested back Iran's resources for its people. And ever since then, Iran has been considered an enemy state that is a threat to the world order. And they'll say Iran has proxies across the region because it's just so evil. Actually, Iran has partners across the region that it helped arm and fund to fight for their sovereignty against American imperialism. And that made Iran an even bigger threat.
Rania, I have to leave for literally 1 minute, but I want you to keep talking, saying what you were saying. And also, if you want to read some super chats, that would be great.
Yeah.
I will be back in literally 60 seconds. Okay. And Wilson's going to read you this.
Okay. So as I was saying, Iran poses a threat to U.S. empire because it isn't a slave state. It doesn't give its oil away for free. It has some sovereignty that it insists on maintaining. And it helped arm resistance, liberation movements like the Palestinians, like the people in southern Lebanon, it worked with the Yemenis. These are always called proxies of Iran. I mean, these are not proxies of Iran. They're actual organic movements that exist inside these places that Iran partnered with for similar interests. And, the U.S. spent the last 20 months arming Israel to basically destroy as much of that infrastructure as it could. And as a result, they saw a moment of weakness for Iran because Hamas has been severely weakened in Gaza because of genocide. Let's remember that whenever they say, oh, Hamas is decimated, Hamas is weakened, they're talking about a genocide. If you genocide people in a death camp, you're definitely going to weaken whatever resistance movement exists there because you're starving them. They bombed the hell out of Hezbollah, killed Hezbollah's leader, and basically are now trying to disarm Hezbollah. So they've weakened Hezbollah in Lebanon. So that's one less partner of Iran in the region. There's still the Houthis who do their thing, but, they can only do so much. In Iraq, the groups there that are considered proxies of Iran are less likely or more hesitant to get involved because of the weakness of these other groups over the last 20 months. And I want to reiterate, this is because of a genocide. They're bragging about weakening Iran through a genocide. And so when they talk about the little Satan versus the big Satan, these are the talking points we always hear about Iran. Iran is the head of the octopus. That's how Israel sees it. That's how the U.S. sees it. So actually, it makes sense that they did this right now because it's a moment of weakness for Iran. Whether they'll succeed in getting what they want still stands to be seen, but Iran does have a lot less leverage than it did before. But at the end of the day, when they say Iran is a threat, they don't mean Iran is a threat to like me or Katie or anybody watching this. They mean Iran is a threat to U.S. oil companies because they could be making way more money than they already are if Iran just gave its oil away for free and became a slave state.
Right. Yeah, why can't they just do that, Rania, in the name of peace?
I didn't read any of the super chats because I was rambling. I'm just angry, Katie.
You were on a very good rant. I mean that in a positive way.
Thank you.
So, and everyone loves this. Everyone is happy. Everyone's really enjoying what you said, by the way. Before we move on to the next clip, Wilson, can you just put Bolton back up so we can see him as I'm providing some background about him, because it's just, you got to see his face. I'm sorry, everyone. The walrus hawk. Hold on. Okay, so pause it. You can just pause it there. So that's perfect. That's him filleting Netanyahu right there, by the way, a shot of that. But here's some things that you should know about this. So this is a guy who Donald Trump portrayed rightly, I would say. This is what Donald Trump said about him, that he was a wacko, a sick puppy, and a disgruntled, boring fool who only wanted to go to war. So when this guy, who you call a wacky, sick puppy warmonger, is congratulating you, maybe that's a sign that you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah.
They're all cartoon characters, cartoon supervillains, really.
Yeah, I know. It's really insane. By the way, he also once said, this is in 2007, Bolton said, life is about choices, and if the choice is between a nuclear-capable Iran and the preemptive use of force, I might say a limited use of force to break their control of the nuclear fuel cycle, I don't think there's any question That's what you have to look at. So, 2007, he was cheerleading for this.
He's been dreaming of this forever. Like, John Bolton definitely is the kind of person who like gets off on bombs being dropped on places he wants to control.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like Sunday was like the best day of, or what is it? Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Best life.
Yeah. It's also ridiculous because, he is such a scary guy, even on a personal level. Like, he's such a bully. Once he was mad at someone, he like banged on their door in a hotel room and like wouldn't leave them alone. Anyway,
he's not
he's
well.
really not
These
well.
people aren't well.
And also, didn't he like drop something? He like admitted that he tried to regime change Venezuela. I think I can't remember the quote.
Yeah. That was like on Fox News a few years back.
Yeah.
And it was like in his book, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. All right, so let's go on to another great gem of a man, and that would be none other than Tom Cotton. Let's hear what he had to say.
Oh, God.
I know. I'm sorry.
Is ultimately the only way to be safe from the Iranian threat, in your view, because I've heard you talking about this for a decade now, is regime change? Does the regime have to go?
That's not President Trump's military objective. In fact, frankly, it wasn't. But frankly, it wasn't Prime Minister Netanyahu's objective either. He said the objective here was twofold: to eliminate their nuclear program and to eliminate their ballistic missile threat to the United States, to Israel, to our friends in the region.
The United States.
We are not pursuing regime change. We are not trying to put any troops on the ground into Iran. We are trying to eliminate their nuclear weapons program, and by destroying 3 critical nuclear facilities, we've taken huge steps in that direction.
But let me read you what you said back in 2017. So this is 8 years ago. You said the policy of the United States should be regime change in Iran. And then you said this: I don't see how anyone can say America can be safe as long as you have in power a theocratic despotism.
Is he talking about Israel there? Because that applies to Israel.
Right.
Has your view changed?
Well, as long as Iran's leaders continue to terrorize Americans after these strikes, then no, America won't be safe from the Iran threat. That's the point that President Trump.
Okay, except you said that earlier. So now he's pretending that it's conditional on what they do next, except he said that years ago.
I mean, Tom
and
Cotton's
he called
a scary
for regime
person.
change. He really is.
Tom Cotton's a scary person. He wants regime change. It's probably actually, the fact that he was probably told don't go out and openly say that that's what we want was probably very difficult for him.
I know.
Like him saying these lies is probably hard because all he wants to do is like scream about the Ayatollah and how we should kill him and change the regime in Iran so that I can steal their oil.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, though, I think you're underestimating him a little bit, Rania. He's a very experienced liar.
Yeah. But I also think that he really wants to say the word
painful.
Regime change.
Yeah.
He wants to say it.
Yeah.
Made last night. We're trying to ensure our safety.
But you don't believe the policy
deterrence.
should be regime change now?
We're not going to invade Iran. We're not going to try to topple their government or try to replace it with a new government. As Prime Minister Netanyahu said, the Iranian leaders are so hated by their own people and have so failed to deliver positive results for their own people that might be the end of this, but that's not the American policy. And frankly, it's not the Israeli policy either. It is to set back. It is to.
I mean, he should go look at American poll numbers about how much they hate their leadership.
Exactly.
To destroy their nuclear program and to eliminate the missile threat to the United States and our friends.
It's been a deeply unpopular regime in its own country for a long time. Senator Cotton, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Don't you love when like the anchor just like backs up the lies? Like you guys haven't polled Iranians. Like Iranians, there's a lot of Iranians who support their government. There's a lot of Iranians who hate their government too. But like the way they're just like, it's so unpopular. Everybody wants it gone. Like what?
Yeah. And also there are people who are frustrated with their governments who don't want regime change. Or don't want external regime change. There are people who want to change their government, but like, I mean, most of the people who aren't insane. Yeah, exactly.
Well, they've seen what that looks like in Libya and Syria and Iraq, and it's like really, really state collapse is dirty, brutal, leads to all kinds of horrors, militias, killings, destruction on a mass scale. No one wants that. And this is a country of 90 million people.
Right. So gross. Yeah, and again, there's like a difference between frustration with government, and there's like a big range. There are people who are unhappy with the government but don't want it to change. Like they want that government. They just, like a lot of people in other countries, there's such a fetishization of Iranians, and the Iranian government's really disgusting.
I gotta say, I think that Iranians, like whenever I see the images of them at like in the streets, like they're basically all kind of rallying around the flag right now because they're being bombed. They have the best makeup.
Oh, really?
The women? Oh my God. You gotta, so no. Like, I'm just always like, damn girl, that lip liner is on point.
Yeah.
Like if I wish like because I feel like Americans are so superficial.
Right.
If like, because I'm always watching like Al Jazeera English Live during times like this, like switching between that and CNN, and Al Jazeera English Live is like on the ground showing you the Iranian on the street. And I'm like, man, if this woman was on CNN right now, people would just be like, I want a makeup tutorial from her.
Yeah,
like,
I don't want to kill her. I don't want
to kill her, or it doesn't even really look like I need to free her. Like she's like, they're so pretty and they have like the best clothes and the best, most elegant style. And I'm like, no wonder CNN is not on the street, because people would be like, these Iranians have got it going on. And the men, oh, wow.
Well, I think
this is what happens when you've got me instead of Aaron.
I think Rania just did more for diplomacy than any diplomat could do, including any Democrat. Yeah.
I just be able to do my eyeliner or my lip liner as good as like an Iranian woman in Tehran.
Wow.
Like
she said it.
I wish.
You guys, she said it. No, what other show will go there and speak that truth power that she just said? Yeah. Let's see, who do we got next? Don't worry, guys. We have even more from you. And next up, we have, the great Adam Kinzinger. The great Adam Kinzinger, who is a never Trump Republican. Oh, this is really moving, what he has to say about what just happened in Iran.
Much for being here. You, of course, have not hesitated to criticize President Trump on all manner of things, but you're also saying that he made the right call here. Considering the way events played out leading up to this, were you surprised by the scale and timing of these strikes?
Well, I was surprised. I think a lot of people were. They did a good job of kind of throwing off the scent when they claimed that B-2s were headed west, and actually they were headed east. The whole idea when the president said like 2 weeks and then he bombed within that window, I think was smart to catch Iran off guard. But yeah, I think one of the things that drives me crazy in foreign policy, and it always has, I was critical of my own party when, Obama went into Libya, is it seems like people oppose a president just based on his party. And if you truly oppose the strikes in Iran, I respect that. I fully understand it and respect it. It's when somebody opposes something because somebody of the other party is doing it on foreign policy, particularly, that I think that's where it gets a little dangerous. So I do think this was the right move, very limited. I think now just defending American troops in the region, trying to sue for peace with Iran, and I think that would be the right move.
I mean, okay, so shout out to him for not being limited or dictated by partisan lines, but all you're admitting is that you're a neocon, and the reason you didn't like Trump was maybe because you feared he wasn't sufficiently neoconish. Now he's obviously disproven that. And also you don't like his kind of affect, which is often what it comes down to with Trump critics. So glad to know that you are a warmonger.
He's a principled warmonger, Katie.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. All right. So now we have, this is a good one. So now we have Jim Himes, and he's actually making a pretty good point here, which may be surprising to some people. But here he is, and let's listen to what he has to say.
It's way too early to tell what the actual effect on the nuclear program is. And of course, it's way too early to tell how this plays out, right? I mean, we've seen this movie before. Every conflict in the Middle East has its Senator Tom Cottons, who promised us mushroom clouds. In the Iraq War, it was Condoleezza Rice promising us a mushroom cloud. And initially, and this is true of every one of these wars, in Libya, in Iraq, and Afghanistan, initially things look pretty good. Saddam Hussein is gone. Muammar Gaddafi is gone. The Afghan Taliban are gone. And then over time, we start to learn what the cost is. 4,400 Americans dead in Iraq, the Taliban back in power. So bottom line.
Of course, I like the way, I don't want to give him too much credit. I guess it's impressive to just acknowledge that this is a rinse and repeat. But of course, look, the costs of these things aren't how people in those countries are killed. It's the way it costs. It's the financial burden, economic fallout for Americans. Yeah.
And the American occupiers who got hurt in the process.
Right, exactly, yeah.
The president has taken a massive, massive gamble here. Some chance it works out. I'm, as a member of Congress, disturbed that this was undertaken without congressional approval. There's not much ambiguity in the Constitution about who gets to approve these things. But bottom line is, we don't know. And if you look at the three conflicts I just mentioned, I would keep the optimism under the hat for.
So that's
also, I was gonna just add to that real quick. Syria, which just had a terrorist attack yesterday against a church.
Wow. Well, that is we have brought we have helped bring democracy there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Al Jolani, the great terrorist makeover. Yeah.
Former ISIS emir. Now, look, don't let anybody limit you in life.
Exactly.
Okay.
Labels are for jars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, so that's Jim Himes, who is the Democrat congressman from Connecticut. So that was a pretty, I mean, besides the fact that he was so jingoistic, he made some good points about the fallout of these policies. Although, as Aaron mentioned on Pierce Morgan, people often talk about this as like a mistake or a failure or something that has blowback in the United States, which is true, but really also we have no right to be doing regime change. We have no right to be overthrowing governments and invading countries.
No, we don't even it's been so normalized.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, I just want to point out the U.S. just normalized bombing nuclear facilities. Like, can we just take a moment to acknowledge how insane and dangerous that is? In fact, my friends and I here started joking we were going to have a nuclear summer.
Oh yeah.
Because what is there else to do? What else is there to do other than make dark jokes when because it's actually quite frightening. Like, if you bomb a nuclear facility the wrong way, is there a right way to bomb one? I mean, this is like really new stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
30,000-pound bunker buster bomb, strongest bomb in the world aside from a nuclear bomb, used to destroy a nuclear facility. Crazy.
So ridiculous. Well, guys, don't worry, because our vice president, Vance, has a perfect response to Jim Himes, and here he's going to explain why it's totally different this time. Let's take a listen.
After an Iranian missile struck a hospital in Israel this week, Israel's defense minister.
By the way, the Iranian missile that struck a hospital, if this is the same one she's referring to, was an accident. They were striking a facility nearby, and 0 people died.
Sounds like collateral damage.
Yeah, non-lethal collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of all the times that they were questioning people about the Israel attacks on hospitals. Oh, no, they didn't actually do that. Okay.
Minister said the Ayatollah, quote, can no longer be allowed to exist. Does the United States support Israel killing Iran's leader?
Oh, this is not the right clip.
Well, look, that's up to the Israelis, but our view has been very clear that we don't want a regime
change. That's up to the Israelis if they want to kill recognized head of state.
We do not want to protract this or build this out any more than it's already been built out. We want to end their nuclear program, and then we want to talk to the Iranians about a long-term settlement here.
Okay, so that was no, I just texted you the right clip, Wilson, of what I want to play. So that was fine, but that's not the clip that answers the question about how this is going to be
this time different.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see the response to how this time is different.
Yeah.
So it's got this time is different because I think I see something.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yep. All right. Should we play it, Wilson?
We empathize with Americans who are exhausted.
Hold on. This is important to play from the beginning. Okay, ready?
Certainly empathize.
So remember, we just saw Jim Himes warning that this is going to be a massive disaster.
I certainly empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglements in the Middle East. I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then we had dumb presidents, and now we have a president who actually knows how to accomplish America's national security objectives. So this is not going to be some long, drawn-out thing. We've got in, we've done the job of setting their new...
The problem wasn't regime change.
Right.
Okay? The problem was the person who was doing it.
Was stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. That's that. I gotta hand it that to them. That is a good talking point.
Yeah, it is pretty good. Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like, we're not anti-war. This entire time we've been anti-war. We're anti-war when the president is stupid. But when the president is a genius, like Donald Trump, we're pro-war. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Let's watch the rest of this clip.
program back. We're going to now work to permanently dismantle that nuclear program over the coming years, and that is what the president has set out to do. Simple principle. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. That has animated American policy over the past 130 days. It's going to continue to be a driving force of our policy in the Middle East for the next 3.5 years.
We're going to be at war with Iran for the next 3.5 years is what I just heard.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Well, Rania, do you have a heart out right now?
I do. I'm sorry because the Breakthrough News is doing a special live stream with lots of guests.
Oh, great.
I have to go get ready for that. So
yeah, well, we did over an hour. We did 1 hour and 9 minutes. So let's see. Is there anything I want to make sure I play? I can even do it on my own. Maybe I'll do one thing, but I think we ended on a real banger, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I just think that I've been convinced. Like that argument was so good. Cause like, I just didn't realize that all this time, the reason that Iraq, Libya, and Syria and Afghanistan and Yemen, and I'm sure I'm forgetting another country we've destroyed. The reason all that didn't go right is because the people who were doing it were stupid.
Right.
So now we have someone who's not stupid. So it's going to be great.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Well, you just convinced me. I guess I'm on board.
Yeah, we're on board. Yeah. Well, Rania, thank you so much. Everyone follow Rania. Check out Breakthrough News. I'm going to read some of the super chats, but we release you back into the wild, Rania.
Thank you so much for letting me sub in for Aaron today and for bumping Rand Paul for me. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Rania. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to read some of the super chats. Also, tune in tomorrow because I'm going to have Eli Clifton on the Katie Halper Show at 7 p.m. YouTube.com/the Katie Halper Show. And he's someone who actually went to Iran. So that'll be fascinating. Okay. And he's at the Quincy Institute. So let's see. Good morning, beautiful Katie and Rania. Thanks, Sparky. Shouting D to America has long been out of fashion in Iran. Remember, Iran held a candlelight vigil in sympathy for America after 9/11. Very important point, actually. Trump wins Nobel POS Prize. Trump was a draft dodger. Now he's a warmonger. True. Iran has been very restrained in the face of Zionist aggression. Has this emboldened U.S. imperialism to strike Iran? I think Rania would say yes. I mean, I think she basically said that earlier, and I've heard her say that before. Two of my favorite journalists. Thanks, Joan. Here's another super chat from Sparky. Thank you so much. And then President Trump is supposed to be a streetwise New Yorker, but his friends and advisors lie to him with impunity in order to manipulate him, since Trump isn't well-read, weaponized naivete, and also narcissism. I think that's really how they control him. Good morning, beautiful people. Thank you. Whatever happened to the last Iranians who negotiated with the U.S.? Good question. UI! Exclamation point. Tulsi, you have taken my previous statements out of context. I've always been for regime change wars. Oy. I have great respect for the journalism you two ladies provide. Thank you, Randy. Wow, thank you so much. It's a fact. CIA Director Ratcliffe copies his intel info directly from Mossad and gives it unchanged to President Trump. Okay, that's Sparky's claim. I just want to say I don't know if that's true. Hugo Perry, I keep hearing the word intelligence, but I'm yet to hear anyone with some in the U.S. and Israeli government. Well said. Jeffries, etc., are in it for AIPAC millions only. Lindsey Graham was finally okay. I don't want to. That's a inappropriate comment, but funny. Okay, Pete Hegseth was introduced to the media around 2010 by Lindsey Graham. Prior to that, Pete was Lindsey's. Okay, I don't know if that's true. Don't want to read that. Sorry, I read a lot of your comments though. Codependent relationship, I believe, is the term. I think that must have been about Joseph. I'm not sure if that was when we were showing Netanyahu, reference to Netanyahu or Lindsey Graham. Even Hitler had an hideous ideology, not money only. It is true that Trump is not an ideologue. I mean, Netanyahu is, but Trump is not. Iran is beating Israel like a redheaded stepchild who owes them money. Schadenfreude. I don't get it. Iran takes over Israel. Ted Cruz required to worship Iranians. Not sure. On October 7th, Hamas had no connection with Iran. Hamas was affiliated with and funded by the U.S. and Israel. I think there's some connections with Iran. But okay, let's see. Okay, this is funny. Why did Iran locate itself on top of the West oil? Question mark. Okay. So, Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton is stupid, even by Arkansas standards. I don't know if he's stupid, but sorry, couldn't resist. Okay. Lamestream media pushing war maniacs harder to commit to coup d'etat is normalized. Thank you so much, Wade Worth, for that very generous donation. And thank you, Texas Grown, for a great job as usual. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. We will have a great show for you this week, as always. And thank you so much to Rania. And see you next Monday here, and see you later on this week when we release our episode. Bye, everyone.